Good morning, class 9 students. In today's session, we will be discussing the textual question answers of the chapter The Little Girl. And before that, we will also be discussing the summary of the summary of the chapter, because we have gone through the text already. So now it's time to just, have a glimpse over the story of the chapter. So, Catherine Smanfield, she happens to be the author of the chapter, and she's trying to portray, uh, she's trying to portray the bond between children and their parents, and sometimes they mistake. I mean, they fail to consider they fail to understand their parents' strictness, and it is very important to know that the parents are bound to behave in such a manner, the way Kezia's father behaved, because if you're making a mistake, you're bound to be told and you're bound to be punished, right? So that you won't repeat the mistake. And it is also very important because a little, this punishment and the scolding for your parents, it keep on reminding you that you should not fall for bad habit, or you should not fall for bad company. So that is why it is very important. And you will see that Kezia, later she will understand, and that she will understand that uh, you know although her father is strict, yet there lies so much love in his heart for Kezia, right? So let's go through the summary. So, The Little Girl, it was written by Catherine Mansfield, and the story revolves around a little girl named Kezia. She lives with her parents, grandmother, right? But she is afraid of her father, and she tries to avoid him whenever she can. And she actually takes, it is, whenever the moment her father leaves the house, she relaxes, right? So according to, and whenever she is, when she is, when she's in front of her father, she shivers with fear, and she finds difficult to speak, right? She mumble and she stuttered in terror, right? Whenever Kezia's father is, near. And according to her, her father was rude, very strict, harsh person, and he's like a giant. And she always tried to not to confront him, right, whenever he was at home. But Kezia's grandmother, she always tells her to understand, or to have a conversation with her parents, so that she could understand them well. But she lacks courage to 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 chat with her parents in the drawing room, understand. And yes, she received a cold treatment from her parents most of the time. And the reason being is, so one day what happened, this is very important, you actually need to remember this. One day what happened, the grandmother, she advised Kezia that she should make a pincushion as a gift for her father's birthday, because her father's birthday was around the corner. I think it was falling it was coming the following week, right? So Kezia planned to gift a pincushion to her father, so she stitched three sides of the cushion, uh, right, with difficulty. And she kept one side open so that she could actually stuff something, right? uh, so but she could not find anything to stuff it. And she wandered into her mother's room and everywhere, and at last she found some paper, right? And she tore those sheets of fine paper into small pieces, and then accumulated them and stuffed them into the pincushion case. And then she finally sewed the fourth side of the pincushion. And on the same day, she could she could hear the loud noises, her father shouting and yelling. And it came to her notice that the paper that she tore, it was actually her father's great speech for the port authority, right? And when Kezia's mother came to know that the little girl had torn those sheets of paper, she was summoned She was called to the drawing room immediately, and the father was so furious with her that he did not even listen to her explanation, that she tore the sheets of paper because she was planning to gift him something. And the father, he punished her with the ruler on her on her palm, and she cried all night, and she failed to understand that why she was punished for speaking the truth, right? But yes, it is a good thing that she accepted the mistake that she committed, and she was very unhappy and disappointed. She wept and she questioned the God, that what was the purpose of creating fathers, right? But next evening, when she saw Mr. McDonald, who is her neighbor, right? He was playing with his children. They were having a merry time. He was having a very merry time with her, with his children. So this incident, made her believe that not all fathers have the same behavior, right? So there are some fathers who are like Mr. McDonald, who are kind, loving, and they actually they love to spend time for their family. But she has failed to understand that her father is a hardworking man. He is very busy. He works, he goes to office, then he comes back, and he needs to relax, right? So you will see that she understands this later. So what happened now? But this, yes, her she's going to develop this understanding very soon. And what developed this understanding, let's find out. So one day, when her mother fell ill and she was hospitalized, so her grandparents, she had to go along with her mother. So Kezia, she was left alone with nobody else around except the cook Alice. And yes, the father was also there. So during the daytime, when everything went well, everything went well, but at night, Kezia found it difficult to sleep, because children, yes, they have this tendency, or they are kind of, they are very scared to sleep alone. And yes, it is also, it is very frequent with Kezia that she experiences bad dreams, nightmare of a butcher holding a knife or a rope, and trying to, who's coming after her. So the cook, he tried to make Kezia feel comfortable, and then the cook left. But what happened, when she went to bed, and but this nightmare came back. The butcher was holding a knife and a rope, and it was coming, the butcher, it came closer, smiling, at her. And she was unable to move. She froze, and the nightmare it woke her up, and she shouted. It happens with us also, because when we are having this nightmare, right, we kind of feel that we are froze. We feel that it is very difficult to move, right? And then suddenly, when we open our eyes, when the dream breaks, we feel this goosebumps all over our body. And and the small children, they have a tendency to to shout and scream. So Kezia, she screamed when she woke up, when her dream woke up. And uh, but she found that her father was there, right? And he took her to his bedroom, and he made her feel comfortable. And yes. And he also told her that she could be, and he also told her that there was nothing to afraid of. And and he rubbed her feet against her leg, so that she could feel warmth, because she was very cold, because she was frightened, right? Because she was, yes, she was scared because of the nightmare. And then she felt so comfortable and secured in her father's company, right? And I think I believe this is the incident that changed everything, her perception, her opinion, right? So now she has, now she believes that her father is very, you know, he's a very generous person. And the reason that he is unable to show fatherly love, that it is because he is so busy and he has so much to do. He's always tired. That is the reason he's kind of cranky every day, right? Because he has to work so hard. So this is so you know she came to know about all this, and she developed this understanding after this incident, right? And now she is very honored to have a very loving and caring father, right? And now she loves him as much as she loves her grandmother and mother. So that's the summary of the chapter. I think it's time for us to discuss the textual question answers, because we have finished the chapter. So now we will be discussing the questions. Okay, this is we have. I think we also need to do this, children. If if you're watching this, I believe and I advise you. I mean, not advise you. I'm directing you to do this in your notebooks as well. So let's start. Given below are some emotions that Kezia felt. Match emotions in column A with items in column B. So this is kind of a match the following. You actually need to match the emotions. So we have emotions of fear or terror. So we can actually when does she feel fear or terror? When father comes home, right? This is here. When father comes home, and then speaking to her father, that is when she feels terror and fear. And going to bed alone at home, yes, this is one. This is also going to bed alone home. And then father stretched out on the sofa and snoring. Yes, this is the yes, we will also include this, because whenever she is advised to go downstairs and talk to her father, she finds him lying on the sofa, right, with her with a paper or a magazine on his face. So yes, now second emotion is glad, sense of relief. When she feels glad and sense of relief, when yes, noise of the carriage grows fainter. When she when she finds that her father is leaving, and yes, father comes into her room to give her goodbye kisses. So these, and yes, now the third emotion is a funny feeling, perhaps of understanding. So I think we have just done this, and this is the last part. It is it's here. Father comforts her and falls asleep. So funny feelings, right? Perhaps of understanding. So now, why was Kezia afraid of her father? Why was she afraid of her father? She was afraid of father because he was very strict, and according to her, he was very rude, right? Understand, and he gave her physical punishment instead of the love and affection that Kezia craved for from her father, right? And yes, so that is why she was afraid of her father. Who were the people in Kezia's family? It's very simple. There were 4 members in Kezia's family: her father, her mother, a loving grandmother, and Kezia herself, including her. What was Kezia's father routine before going to his office? So before going to office, Kezia's father would visit Kezia in her room and give her a kiss, and then leave for the work in his carriage. So this is actually this is one of the evidences that shows that he is actually a loving and caring, and he loves his daughter. So after coming back from his office, what does he do? Because he's after coming back from office in the evening, her father would order tea, right? And yes, he would order for her slippers and the newspapers in a loud noise. On Sundays, what does he do? On Sundays, what happened? On Sundays afternoon, he would stretch out on the sofa, his handkerchiefs on his face, right? And you could actually see that one of his feet touching the cushion of the sofa, right? And he would also snore. In what ways did Kezia grandmother encourage her to get to know her father better? So Kezia's grandmother, she is always trying, she's always advising and trying Kezia to have or to develop a very strong bond with her parents. And in order to develop that, she she encourages her to go downstairs and talk to, and later she was advised to gift, this was one of yes, later she was advised to gift uh, her father a pin cushion on his birthday. So discuss the questions in class with your teacher and then write down your answers in 2 or 3 paragraphs each. So Kezia's effort to please her father resulted in displeasing him very much. How did this happen? Yes, I think this is one of the important questions, right? Because actually the child was trying to impress or, uh, you know, make her dad happy, but actually, on the contrary, what opposite happened, right? So what was it? Kezia, she was at home. No, ik ben- okay. So what happened? The grandmother, Kezia's grandmother, she advised Kezia to make a pin cushion for her father, and her grandmother gave her a piece of yellow colored silk fabric, right? And she stitched the cushion from the 3 sides, and she left the fourth side open so that she could stuff something into the cushion. And but when she could not find out, and she could not even talk to her grandmother because she was out in the garden. So this child, because she was in a rush to make this pin cushion, so she did not pay attention to anything, right? And she accidentally tore her father's speech for Port Authority, and she shred those papers into tiny bits, and then she stuffed it into the cushion, and later it was found that it was her father's speech for Port Authority, and she was blamed. She Even though she accepted, she was scolded, and she was punished. So that's how this her efforts resulted in this. So Kezia decides that there are different kinds of fathers. What kind of father was Mr. McDonald, and how was he different from Kezia? So actually, it happened. Later she found that actually her father is as caring as Mr. McDonald. So Mr. McDonald, he lives next door, right? He has got 5 children, and she often sees them playing in the garden. So when she peeps through a gap in the fence, she sees them having fun, right? Baby Ma was sitting on Mr. McDonald's shoulders, and his 2 daughters, stuck to his coat pockets. So this is what she observes, right? They laugh, they have they have fun time. Understand? So this scene actually made her believe that there are different kinds of fathers. One is Mr. McDonald, who is very different from her father because he's not strict. He plays with his children, and they laugh, right, while they play. And on the other hand, Kezia's father, he's cranky, he's angry, he's shouting, he's busy with his work. Understand? So how does Kezia begin to see her father as human being who needs her sympathy? So this is also a very important question. Uh, so one day when she was alone, and her mother, she felt sick. She went to hospital. She was hospitalized there, and the grandmother too had to accompany Kezia's mother. So Kezia was left alone with the cook Alice and her father. So Alice was looking after Kezia. So at night, Alice put her to bed, but Kezia was unwilling to sleep without her grandparents, without her grandmother, because she often sees this nightmare, where she sees this butcher holding a knife and all that. So, but cook, it's a cook. So cook left her, and when she went to bed, she had the same nightmare, and she woke up when the dream broke, and she found her father near her, and he took her to her bedroom, and this is where he made her feel comfortable, right? And he made her feel comfortable, and at this point she realizes that her father is very hardworking person. The reason he's being so rude is because he's so worked up, and he had a lot to do. So that's all for today's session, children. In case you have any doubt or any question, you can contact me, and we will also be discussing this chapter in the next, tomorrow in the live Zoom, in the live Google Meet class. So if you have any queries, you can ask. So that's all for today, children. Have a nice day. And yes, textual questions are are compulsory. Make sure you do them in your notebook. Thank you. Have a nice day. See you in the next class.